If you're preparing for the SAT and you want to become faster and more confident with equations, you're in the right place. In this lesson, we're going to build 4 important equation solving skills. First, we'll look with rational exponents. Then we'll look at polynomial equations and factoring. After that, we'll learn a reliable method for radical equations. Finally, we'll solve absolute value equations. Here's my challenge for you. Stay with me until the end. Don't just memorize the steps, understand why each trick works. And if you want more clear step-by-step mathematics, subscribe to Artin Academy. Let's get started. Solving equations involving rational exponents. 16 to the 1/2 power. The square root of 16 to the 1/3 power. The cube root of 8, a to the m over n. Let's start with rational exponents. A rational exponent is simply another way to write a radical. When the denominator of exponent is 2, we're dealing with a square root. When the denominator is 3, we're dealing with a cube root. For example, 16 to the 1/2 power is the square root of 16, so the answer is 4. Also, 8 to the 1/3 power is the cube root of 8, which is 2. General rule is a to the m over n equals the nth root of a to the m, or equivalently, the nth root of a raised to the mth power. For SAT work, the key is to recognize that rational exponents and radicals are 2 forms of same idea. Now look at the example on the slide. The main skill is combining exponents by using the product rule when powers have the same base, solving equations using factoring. Now let's move to our second strategy, factoring. A polynomial is an expression made from powers variable with real number coefficients. The degree of the polynomial is determined by the highest exponent. For example, if the highest power is x to the 4th, we have a 4th degree polynomial. When we set a polynomial equal to 0, we have a polynomial equation. This is where factoring becomes especially useful. Here is a test take in mindness. Before you do a lot of algebra, ask yourself, can I factor this expression? If the equation can be written as a product of factors equals to 0, we use the zero product property. If the product is 0, at least one factor must be 0. So the workflow is simple. Factor, set each factor equal to 0 and solve. Now we're ready for radical equations. A radical equation is an equation that contains a variable inside the radical, the expression under the radical sign. There are 5 steps I want you to remember. First, isolate the radical on one side of the equation. Second, raise both sides to the appropriate power. It is a square root, square both sides. It is a cube root, cube both sides. More generally, for the nth root, raise both sides to the nth power. Third, solve the remaining equation. If another radical is still present, repeat the process. Here is the step students sometimes skip. Check your solutions in the original equation. Squaring can introduce an extraneous solution, so the original equation is the final judge. That final check is the part of the method, not an optional extra. Radical equation challenge. SAT ACT challenge. Solve this formula. 5-step method. 1. Isolate the radical. 2. Square both sides. 3. Simplify and solve. 4. Square again. If necessary, 5. Checking the original equation. Post your answer in the comments. The square root of 2x plus 3 plus the square root of x minus 2 equals 4. The square root of x minus 2. X equals 3. Okay, now it's your turn. If you solve this, pause the video and try it yourself. Use the 5-step radical method from the previous slide. Start by isolating one radical. When you square the equation, be careful with the middle term. Remember that squaring a sum creates a product term. After simplifying, you may still have a radical. So repeat the process. Let's solve the resulting equation. But don't stop when you get a candidate answer. Substitute it back into the original equation. For this problem, x equals 3 works because the left side becomes the square root of 9 plus the square root of 1, which is 3 plus 1 or 4. Exactly what we want. Solution that satisfies the original equation. Important point. The original uploaded slide asks the students to solve the equation and post the solution. So the original equation is the final judge. Gears and encourage engagement. ACT Math. ACT students, now let's switch gears. The ACT rewards the students who can recognize problems at type quickly and choose an efficient strategy. Remember this 4-part routine. Identify the equation, choose the right method, solve carefully, and check your work. You do not need to panic when an equation looks complicated. First, identify what kind of equation you are looking at. Then, match it with the strategy you have learned. If this lesson is helping you, please give the video a like. Your support helps Artin Academy create more step-by-step mathematics lessons. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you leave a strategy you can actually use on test day, solving an absolute value equation. Let's finish our 4-trick lesson with absolute value equations. Absolute value represents distance, and distance can be measured in either direction. That is why when the absolute value of 2x minus 6 equals 8, the expression inside the absolute value can be positive 8 or negative 8. So we create 2 separate equations. First, 2x minus 6 equals 8. Add 6 to both sides, giving 2x equals 14, so x equals 7. Second, 2x minus 6 equals negative 8. Add 6 to both sides, give 2x sides negative 2, so x equals negative 1. Therefore, the two solutions are x equals 7 and x equals negative 1. This two-case strategy is one of the most important patterns to recognize on the test: the absolute value, properties, and fast rules. Here is the big picture behind absolute value. The absolute value of x means the distance of x from 0 on the number line. Distance is near negative. If x is greater than or equal to 0, the absolute value of x is simply x. If x is negative, the absolute value changes the sign, so the result is negative x. That gives us a very useful test shortcut. If the right side of an absolute value equation is negative, there is no solution because the distance cannot be negative. If the right side is 0, there is one solution. If the right side is positive, there are 2 possible values in the standard linear case. Think distance whenever you see absolute value. The mental picture makes the algebra much easier to remember. Algebra series, promote the channel. You want to go beyond today's equation tricks? I invite you to explore a step-by-step algebra lesson series on Artin Academy. The goal of the channel is not just to give you an answer. The goal is to help you understand the mathematics, recognize patterns, and build strong problem-solving skills. So if you are studying algebra, preparing for the SAT or ACT, or simply want to become stronger in mathematics, take a look at the other lessons on the channel. Watch the lesson in order, practice along with them, and build your skills one step at a time. Keep learning, keep practicing, and keep thinking. Before you go, if this lesson helped you, please subscribe to Artin Academy and turn on the notification bell so you do not miss the next mathematics lesson. If you enjoy this lesson, give it a like and share it with a student who is preparing for the SAT or ACT. Most importantly, keep practicing. Mathematics becomes easier when you understand the idea behind the steps. For learning with Artin Academy, I hope you enjoyed the lesson, and I'll see you in the next video.